It's only been a few weeks since Hyundai took the wraps of the all-new Tucson in India, and it has already gathered quite a fan following. And why wouldn't it? Because just look at it. It's bold, it's edgy, and in true Hyundai fashion, it's packed to the gills with features. Now, a lot of you have probably seen Gavin's walk-around video where he touched on a lot of points on the exterior, on the interior, but today is about details. We have the car in broad daylight, and more importantly, we're gonna have it out on the road to get a feel of what it's like to drive. Now, while the highlight or USP of the Tucson is its sharp styling and extensive features list, it has been talked about and been out in the open for a while. Now, powering the Tucson are two engine options, a petrol and a diesel. We have the diesel first. It is the same 2-litre as before, but it has gained some power, 186 horsepower and 416 Nm, mated to an 8-speed automatic gearbox. Now, it is available in two configurations, front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. All-wheel drive, incidentally, is on the diesel engine only. Now, performance and power is fine, but what is a highlight on this engine is the level of refinement. It is very, very smooth. There are no vibrations on the steering or through the cabin, and it can almost pass off as a petrol. Of course, when you push on the accelerator, the revs climb up, and that is when that diesel drone seeps through. But apart from that, in normal driving at moderate pace, it is very, very comfortable and very hushed in here as well. And while it is very comfortable and refined, it's not like it's less on power, because 186 horsepower is pretty good for a car this size, because you step on the pedal and it immediately moves ahead. The 8-speed automatic is a big contributor in this. Shifts are smooth, very, very seamless. Okay, it might not be the most exciting car to drive, and while it does get modes between sport and eco and normal, it still doesn't do a lot in terms of the engine. Put it in sport and the gearbox response sharpens up, but that's about it. And that's not too bad, because you don't really need a lot of performance when you're talking about a car in this segment. You need a comfortable, relaxing drive, and that the Tucson offers fully. However, what this version also has are terrain modes between snow, mud and sand. And even though it isn't an off-roader in the truest sense, it does help. You know, it restricts power, it sort of adjusts the power delivery. And when you're in a tricky situation, maybe a little bit of muck, a little bit of trail that goes off the beaten path, it does help that much. Now, even though it has a sport mode, the modes change, it's very racy in that sense, and the steering is nice and chunky to hold. In terms of handling, it's not the best, and that's not a problem, because the cars in this segment aren't really corner carvers. You know, you don't push a lot with them. Comfort is what is at the top of the priority, and with the Tucson, that is very much the case. If you do manage to chuck it around a lot, you will have a fair amount of body roll. It is slightly top heavy, the suspension is soft, and that's a great thing in terms of ride. But when it comes to handling, for those purists out there, it won't really do much. However, what was always a Tucson plus point was ride quality. Even on the older car, you know, it was very supple, very, very comfortable. Over bumps and undulations, the suspension soaked up everything in its place. And with this new version, things are not too different. Even though it is longer in terms of length and wheelbase, it has also gained some width. It is heavier as well, but the ride remains very, very consistent and very, very comfortable. Now, if you aren't a big fan of diesels and prefer the smoothness of a petrol, there's a Tucson for you as well. Alright, so out from the diesel and into the petrol, which is soon becoming the default choice for SUVs. However, in this case, it is the diesel that is slightly better. I mean, don't get me wrong, it has all the necessary petrol traits. You know, it's smoother, it is a bit more refined, and it is better off the line as well, but it still doesn't feel as potent as the diesel. I think a lot of that has to do with the torque and the fact that it shares its engine with the smaller Hyundai Alcazar, which means this is a 2-litre naturally aspirated petrol engine, not a turbocharged engine, and that does make a bit of a difference, especially in the top end. Because once you put your foot down and the needle climbs up, the engine does get quite boomy, and the overall ambience of the cabin is disturbed. You will hear a lot more of the engine, and it isn't as pleasant as a diesel. What's also a weak point is the 6-speed automatic transmission. While the shifts themselves are smooth, it does take a bit of a while to get responsive and to come into action. Shift into manual and things do get better, but it still doesn't feel as effortless as the diesel. Now, like on the diesel variant, you also have drive modes in this, which do affect the overall performance of the engine, the gearbox, and even the steering weight. What you don't get is, of course, terrain modes, because this is only available in front wheel drive, guys. And since it is slightly lighter compared to the diesel engine, it does have a bit more agility in the way it handles. But again, it's more about that comfort and relaxed nature that you want with the Tucson. Overall, it is a very comfortable car, and no matter the engine you choose, you are more likely to be in the back seat than in the front. Now, in the backseat of the all-new Hyundai Tucson, where a lot of owners would find themselves, and it is pretty impressive. Space for one is quite nice. Never was a problem with the Tucson, but with this it has only gotten better since this is a long wheelbase model that has come to India. It has grown in terms of wheelbase, more length, and the overall roominess as well is quite nice. You also have this nice bright upholstery, the sense of space because of that is quite nice. And of course the panoramic sunroof that helps. But most impressive is of course the legroom on offer. I'm over 6 feet and I still have a good amount of space. But you also have a boss mode feature, which means you can take the passenger seat ahead and open up a lot more legroom to stretch. There's a decent amount of space under the front seats as well to keep your feet in. And even though this is an all-wheel drive, there's not that big of a transmission tunnel, which means 3 abreast won't be a problem at all. However, what is a big plus point is the reclining rear seat. And it's a good amount of recline as well, which means you can relax, have a nice snooze. You get a nice armrest as well with cup holders. The one thing that I do feel is missing are sun blights, because as you can see the windows are nice and large, lets in a lot of light, but when it's hot out you will miss the blinds. What's also missing in the back are blower controls for the AC vents, and you also get only 2 Type A ports, and that's about it in terms of tech. Not a lot on offer. Like I mentioned, the ride quality from the driver's seat was very good, was always a Tucson highlight. And from the back, it is the same experience. In fact, you are a bit more relaxed since you're not driving. The amount of space on offer, the panoramic roof, it is just a very relaxing experience. And I think that is the highlight, what a lot of owners would appreciate. The amount of roominess, the amount of space, and the ride comfort. And of course, being a Hyundai, a long list of features is pretty obvious. This thing is packed to the gills. You have a 10.2-inch touchscreen, 10.2-inch instrument cluster, fully digital, and the whole center console that has this nice waterfall effect is completely free of any physical buttons. Now that's very nice to look at, but when you're out on the road and you want to fiddle around with the aircon, fiddle around with the menu, maybe select some media, you do have to take your eyes off the road, and that's probably not a good thing. Of course, the other thing is that because of this glossy panel, keeping it free of smudges is very difficult. So you have to constantly either clean it or just live with the smudges. Low down, you have this nice switch gear, which is finished in metal, looks very premium. Your terrain modes, auto hold, all that stuff is down there. In terms of tech, you get wireless charging, 2 Type A ports, some cubby holes here, some space in the armrest, which is quite nice actually, quite deep. And you get overall nifty spaces here and there in the cabin, so very practical in that sense. And the big one, of course, are a panoramic sunroof, ventilated front seats, and heated options for the people in the north as well. Or if you end up going to the north a lot, this heated function is likely to come in handy. The other bit are the seats, nice and broad, very, very comfortable. You get memory function for the driver's seat, electric adjust as well. So overall, all the things you need of a premium car are present in this cabin. And the practicality is further added by a 540-litre boot that can be further extended to 1860 litres by folding the rear seats. And speaking more on the features, one of the highlights of the new Tucson is the level 2 ADAS. There's a lot you can do here, many features, cross traffic alert, lane keep assist, adaptive cruise control, and I'm happy to say that they are very, very useful. They are not too intrusive. They keep the car in place, but they also let you be in control. Level 2 ADAS not only aids overall safety, but they are also adaptable to Indian conditions. Features like cross traffic alert, lane keep assist, adaptive cruise control, and many more come in handy in day-to-day driving. And with the Tucson, it is definitely a worthy addition. All said and done though, what grabs the attention instantly is the design. It might not sit well with everyone as it is radical, and you can hate it or love it, but you just can't ignore it. The DRLs that merge into the blacked out grille, the sharp creases on the sides, dimensions that allow for a strong road presence, and the fang-like LED light bar at the rear all combine to get plenty of second looks. Prices for the new Tucson start at 27.7 lakh rupees for the entry spec platinum trim of the petrol version, while the signature trim that gets ADAS features and more tech costs 30.1 lakh rupees. The diesels are expensive still, ranging from 30.19 lakh to 34.39 lakh for the top spec AWD trim. And if you want dual tone paint shade, it will set you back 15,000 rupees extra. It might offer a lot as a package with the funky styling, lengthy features list and ADAS as well. However, in top spec diesel all-wheel drive guys, it is rather expensive. And that's even in comparison to its main rivals, the Jeep Compass, Volkswagen Tiguan and the Citroën C5 Aircross. It has grown leaps and bounds from the older model with segment exclusive features, a premium cabin and multiple trim and powertrain options. What will be interesting to see is if it gains popularity with the buyers. It sure has got all the right ingredients.